Tonight, renewed energy, renewed positivity, brought upon by my recording on Afternoons LA where I said, hey, we're not rolling over. This is not, this is not mud rustling. That's another channel. We are not rolling over. We're not pigs in a blanket. We're not sushi. You're not rolling us into a little... thing that you go chop, 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 chop. No, we are here to get to the finish line. We're not rolling over. We're not a cinnamon roll. We're not rolling over. We're not pigs in a blanket. We may be under a blanket, but we're not pigs in a blanket. We're here to get to the finish line. We're here to get our stimulus. We're here to get things. And what's important to understand is that every person has a different stress level. Every person has a different energy level. Every person has a different fighting level. But when everyone together feels motivated, when everyone together feels informed, when everyone together understands the situation, is not oblivious and has all the facts, you get a lot of things achieved. I know that because I've been doing that from day one on this channel. I came in a sea of abyss with people who had not gotten anything from EIDL and EIDL loans, figured it out, and together we got together and figured it out as a team. I didn't do it by myself. I did it with them. And as them, I'm doing it with you today as well. And this is Purple Power. It's about a team. It's not about one person. It's about reaching the finish line. And ultimately, yes, it shouldn't be this difficult. But everything in life sometimes leads you in unusual paths. And tonight, a renewed energy and renewed focus as this becomes a big night of Purple Power. Hey, good evening, everybody. I'm here, you're here, but where's the power outage? If you did not catch me earlier today, there is a power outage here in LA, so I do not know when you're going to be seeing this video. You'll hopefully see it before you get your stimulus check, which will be, 5 years from now. No, just kidding, just kidding. The power outage is causing everything to be very unusual. The funny thing is I can record. I just can't show you what I'm recording. Needless to say, I also cannot print out your comments or questions, so I won't be answering them on camera. I'll just sort of guess what they are. How about that? Does that work? So go to the phone's channel, subscribe. Subscribe because you can subscribe, because if you're able to watch this video, you apparently have video. You apparently have power. I don't. Also, like this video. In tonight's video, I'm going to go over why Purple Power needs to be laser focused on the events that will unfold in about 11 days from now. Why do I say 11 days from now? And what is 11 days from now? 11 days from now is the day after the election. The night of the election, there's going to be a lot of chaos, a lot of confusion, a lot of questions. But there shouldn't be, because I'm going to prepare you for all the possibilities beforehand. I started that in 28 today. I continue on McConnell, and I continue on Pelosi versus Mnuchin, and I can continue with this recording, because ultimately it's important for you to know ahead of time and be informed and educated. This is what's going to happen to my stimulus because this event happened last night on election night, so that you're not surprised. And there we go. All right, let's get to the breaking news. The breaking news is that a few events could happen on election night. Those events are focusing on two places, the Senate and the Oval Office. Whether the Senate goes to the Democrats or the Oval Office goes to the Democrats, those will determine ultimately your path to get your stimulus, how much stimulus you'll get, and when you'll get the stimulus. And what's important to understand is that there's those two paths, well, not two paths, those two factors that cause four permutations, four possibilities of what could happen. And then on top of that, you have the issue of contested election. What is a contested election? A contested election is when one of the candidates for president contests the results, generally the losing candidate, contests the results and says, I don't agree, and I'm going to court. What would happen with a contested election? Basically, a contested candidate would go to court and say, I don't agree with the findings, I want a court to decide the ruling. The court would issue a ruling, then there would be an appeal, it would go to another level, and that appeal would be rushed to the Supreme Court. Then guess who decided? Judge Barrett. Yes, apparently that's why Judge Barrett's nomination tomorrow, not tomorrow, 2 days from now, is so important. Mitch McConnell is going to put Judge Barrett to a vote and get her confirmed to the Supreme Court on Monday. And then she's going to close the door and not allow you to have a stimulus check bill introduced. Literally. No joke. And so what's important to understand is that this contested election or not contested election, this Biden win or non-Biden win, this Democratic Senate or non-Democratic Senate determines the fate of your stimulus. And what you need to know as you sit here right now is that one event doesn't kill you or end your path to stimulus. One event does not say you are not getting stimulus. And so what I want to make very clear in this recording tonight is that some people in the comments are saying, okay, I'm not getting stimulus until election night. Okay, well, that's fine. That's 10 days from now. Under your scenario, when do you think you're getting stimulus? Well, I don't know. So for people to say, I don't think we're going to get it until then, okay, that's great. Well, when do you think you're going to get it then? I don't think they have an answer. And the truth of the matter is no one really has an answer right now, because all I can do to show you is that certain permutations suggest you would get stimulus sooner because it's closer to the status quo, and certain situations will get you stimulus later because it's further from the status quo. What do I mean? This is generally what's going on. When election night results come in, if the end result is that the bunch of nincompoops that we're dealing with on a daily basis are basically going to stay exactly where they are, and that everything is going to be much the same come January as it is today, then you're going to get your stimulus very quickly, because they have been using the election as an excuse not to do the stimulus. Now when they realize it didn't do anything to the balance of power and that everyone is still where they were before, then you're going to get your stimulus very quickly. However, if the balance of power, if the places where people were are now flipped and they're no longer how they are today, then that would cause the stimulus to be paid out longer into the future, because ultimately people who are there now have lost, and they're not going to want to help you. They're going to say, wait to the people who come in who won over me to help you. I'm not going to do anything. That's how they usually do these things. If someone loses, they don't want to help you. They want to say the person who comes in is going to help you, because they're very bitter. I mean, these are people who have had these jobs. They have never worked a day in their lives. Seriously, they've never worked a day in their lives. They have been politicians for 35 years. They've lived a very cushy life on a pension and a federal job and a federal car that takes them to work, and they have all their meals paid for, and they have big donors, and now they're out of a job, and now they're going to just retire and go home and watch college football. You know, that's basically what, and so they're really pissed off, and they're just going to leave. And so what's important for you to understand is a flip of everything you see here tonight, of where the Senate is and where the president is, would cause the stimulus to be paid later in the future than it is now. Now, as I said earlier in the part of this recording, there's two things. One, how long until you get your stimulus, and two, how much stimulus. Now, this is the big one. The big one is the how much stimulus. The how much stimulus is being determined by you and me here now, not 11 days from now. So for the person who says, I don't see stimulus until after the election, okay, how much stimulus? Well, no, it's dependent upon us now. It's not dependent upon the election. The only thing that's dependent upon the election is if the Republicans were going to pick up stuff that they don't have now. The Republicans are not going to be in a better situation than they are now. That's absolutely categorically not going to happen. So whatever they have now is going to be the same, or it's going to be worse. It's not going to be better. And so what you need to understand is that you're going to get the amount of stimulus that has been offered to you or more. And what Purple Power is doing is focusing on the more. It's important to understand that Democrats generally spend more than Republicans when it comes to policy, when it comes to laws, policy making. They're called tax and spend. And ultimately, it's important that when they start spending, They spend it on us. We don't want to see them spending a lot of money on things that don't concern us. And well, we don't care if they do, but we don't want them to do that until they get to us first. We already see that Joe Biden has a big program, $5 trillion, which is just a scarily large amount of money. It's just an insane amount of money that he wants to spend on a lot of things like roads and infrastructure improvement. Okay, I got that. How about our stimulus first, which only costs $300 billion for a $2,000 check? A $4,000 check is only $600 billion. A $6,000 check is only $900 billion. Why are we talking about $5 trillion before we get to our stimulus checks? There's those concerns that people will ultimately forget about you because they want to forget about you, because they want to spend money on something other than you. And that's why Purple Power has to be aligned. Purple Power has to be very, very vocal now, and is to stay vocal all the way through election night, because ultimately you're first in line. You are owed this stimulus far before anyone else. And those other people may try to get the stimulus before you, and you can't let that happen. Now, what's important to understand is that there's two other factors that will be competing against you. And I tell you the good and the bad, and this is the bad. One of the factors is certain industries with their lobbyists are going to start really pushing hard if there's a change of power to get their stimulus given to them. Because we're going to have a new wave of COVID-19 cases. I mean, we already have it right now. You're going to have new lockdowns. And then ultimately, those industries are going to say, hey, we need money now. We're going to go under. And they're going to try to jump in front of you. And you're like, wait a second. Where's our stimulus? Oh, no. You get behind us. We have lobbyists. We go before you. No. I need my stimulus. And then the other thing that I'm always worried about is that there are news reports tonight, there's news reports this afternoon, there's news reports this morning, that says, okay, if you look at certain industries, we may not need stimulus. Those type of stories really worry me for you, because there's always enough good news out there on economic data that is good to suggest maybe we don't need a lot of stimulus because everything is sort of good. Let's just move on to potholes. What do you mean? What do you mean? There's enough data out there that says housing is good, that retail sales is good, and that people may jump on that and not deal with the situation that you're in hand, which is your stimulus. What's important to understand as we sit here tonight is that Purple Power, you have to push. I have value. I am valued. Hashtag I am valued. Hashtag you are valued. Hashtag MSC, multiple stimulus checks. Hashtag Purple Power. Hashtag LALATE. You need to make very loud and clear how much money you're owed. Because ultimately a bunch of people are going to come in, and when people come into office that are newly come into office, they try to do a lot of stuff right away. That's generally their focus, doing a lot of stuff right away. And it's at that point you need to be heard. You need to be heard. But as a group, you need to be very unified before those people come into office. So by the time they come into the office, you're like, here I am. Where's my stimulus? Here I am. Where you don't be doing the popcorn bill yet. Don't be doing the lobster bill. Don't be doing that pot bill. I'm sure they're going to be doing that pot bill. It's just, AOC just can't wait to January. It's like, I can't wait to do my pot bill. Yes, finally my pot bill. And then, of course, there's Chuck Schumer with his Broadway bill. What's important to understand is that your stimulus will be given to you. The question is how much and when. For now, you can guide the path to how much. You can create the narrative as to how much. You can push the narrative as to how much. You can't do much about the narrative as to when, because for now, the when is dependent upon election night. You can't change that factor. That's the American voting people that will change that factor. Seats for stimulus will help impact it. Seats for stimulus will help flip places that need to be flipped, where incumbents should not be voted back in. You could do that with seats for stimulus, hashtag seats for stimulus. But ultimately, the narrative you can move and should move and will move is how much stimulus you are worth. So go to the Finance Channel, subscribe, because even in the thick of darkness, even as light drops sooner than a bad Mitch McConnell bill, I'm here. And so are you. Also, like this video as always, stay informed, stay smiling, stay focused, and hope there's power restored soon. Otherwise, there may not be a morning to LALATE. As always, stay with me and have a great evening. Take care.